Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you some skills that you need in order to complete lessons 1 through 6 in our Excel book. So these are the 18 items that I'm going to show you in this video. So let's get started. The first thing we need to do is create, name, and save a workbook. So to do that, we're going to come down here to search, and we're going to search for Excel. And we're going to click Excel 2016. Okay, and then the very first thing I'm going to do, as soon as, we're going to do a blank workbook. And then I'm going to save it immediately. File, Save As, Browse, and I'm going to go find my Advanced Computer Apps folder. And if you don't have one, I have one. I'm going to open mine. You probably don't have one. So right here, click New Folder. And then name it Advanced Apps, and maybe 2021, okay? So we've got it named, and now I'm going to name this Practice 1, okay? You don't have to do this. You can just watch this video. So now we've got our file is saved, and it's got a name up here, and all spreadsheets are divided up into columns that are lettered. These are all columns, and rows that are numbered, okay? The intersection of a column and a row is called a cell. This is a cell, and each cell has an address. For instance, this is H10, H10, okay? If I want to go to a certain one, I can type in the address A20 and hit enter, and it will take me to that cell. So you can use that to go to certain cells. But for now, I'm going to make a workbook for my classes. So I'm going to rename down here. You can name your sheets. When you double click it, it selects it, and then you can rename it. I'm going to name this one Advanced Apps, and then I'm going to make another one down here by clicking the plus sign, and I'm going to rename this one PE. Okay, and then you could do it for all of your classes. I'm just going to make 2 here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do put a title here, grades, and then I'm going to put some column headings in. Date, assignment, points earned, points possible, grade. Okay, so those are my column headings, and you can see, there's not enough room in these columns for the words to fit. Now you could do that, you could change that in a couple different ways. You could adjust the column widths up here, and to do that, you just point between 2 columns, and when you get that double-headed arrow like that, you can click and drag, and you can even see, like if I wanted to change it to the width of 15, like I could just keep dragging until I'm at about 15, which there you go, okay? I could also point between the columns like this and double click, and it best fits the information in the cell, or I can choose to have it wrap the text, like for this one, because this is going to be points earned, it's probably going to be like, numbers like that, and that column doesn't need to be that wide. Same thing here, for points possible. This column doesn't need to be that wide. So instead, I'm going to wrap the text. So I'm going to select, and by the way, to select cells, point at the first cell that you want to select, and in this case is A2, and see how my pointer is a big white plus sign? I can click and drag, and that allows me to select. When the pointer is a big white plus sign, I can click and drag to select cells. Okay, so I selected those, and I'm on my home tab here, and right here in the alignment section is wrap text. Okay, and I clicked it and nothing happened because all the columns are wide enough. Well, I'm going to make column C more narrow, and then you can see there that it did wrap the text, but we can't see it because we need to make our row bigger. So to make the row bigger, you point between row numbers like this, and when you get the black double-headed pointer, click and drag, and now you can see that it is wrapped, that they're wrapped. And I'm going to double-click this. That puts that like that. And so then for column headings, you typically go ahead and select the column headings, and they will most likely be centered, okay? And this is just plain center, but you could also right here center, you could do middle align, which will put it right in the middle. You could do center at the top or center at the bottom, okay? Those are different ways that you can align. And typically you put your column headings in bold. And so now I need to go ahead and make these columns bigger again, so that the headings look decent. And then I'm going to select A1 to E1, and I'm going to, for the title, I want this to be centered above all of these columns. So I'm going to use merge and center. You can do merge and center. You could just merge across or merge cells or unmerge. I'm going to do merge and center. Then I'm going to make my title bold also. So just to clarify something for you here, when the default font and font size in Excel is right here, Calibri 11. That's the default font size. Okay, so then I'm going to go ahead and start typing in some information, and I'm going to say the date was 12/30/2020 for this first one, and this is assignment. This is going to be homework. Okay, I earned 10 out of 10, and for the grade, we'll say that's an A. Okay, now on let's say 1/1/2021, the assignment was a test, and points earned was 9 and 10, and again, that maybe is an A minus, okay? Now I want to copy the next few assignments are actually going to be consecutive. So when I click on this cell and I point at the handle here, that turns into a plus sign. I can click and drag down, and it recognizes patterns, which is kind of nice. So then it just does consecutive days. I'm going to say these next 5 are homework assignments. So I'm going to click on homework, and I'm going to copy. And now you can see the ants are running, and I can click here and Control V to paste. Let's see if I can select all 4 and do Control V. Yep. So you can select more than one. And then to get it out of copy, hit the escape key in the upper right corner of your keyboard, or upper left corner of your keyboard. Then this one, I'm going to copy this one and paste it here. And you know, cutting works the same way. So I'm going to hit escape. I can do Control X. And let's say it's not really on the 7th, but it's going to be on the 10th, and then paste, Control V. Control X to cut, Control V to paste, and Control C to copy, or you can just use these buttons up here, okay? If you want to insert a cell or a column, right-click on a column, on the column letter, and do Insert, and it'll insert a column for you. So maybe this is a description. Okay, if you want to insert a row, right-click the number and insert. That puts a row in. Okay, let's come back here to see some of the things that we need to cover. We went over these 2 things. We identified, we did those. Oh, to delete rows, same way that you insert them. So if I want to delete this, click on the row number, right-click and delete. If you want to delete a column, right-click the column letter and delete. Okay. Let's see here. Center vertically, we did that. We wrap text. We did cut, copy, and paste. Freeze panes. This is handy when you have a really big spreadsheet. If you want to freeze it so that we can always see these 2 columns in this row. So if we always want to see the date and the assignment, and these 2 columns right here all the way down, and we always want to see this row with all the column headings, put your active cell here, because this is where we'd like it to be frozen. So you put your cursor there, and then to freeze the panes, I'm going to go to, let's see if I can find it here. It's probably in view, I bet. Yep, right here, freeze panes. And You can tell it freeze the top row, you can freeze the first column, or just freeze panes. It keeps the rows and columns visible while the rest of the worksheet scrolls, okay, based on the current selection. So if I have my pointer here and I do freeze panes, okay, it's got these all frozen. So I can scroll all the way down and I'm still going to see that heading, the heading at the top. Notice it's row 49, but this is stuck at 1 and 2, so I can always see those. Or if I do Control Home, that'll take me to the top, and I scroll to the right, these 2 columns are always going to be shown, and the rest is going to scroll. If you want to unfreeze, just come here to Freeze Panes and Unfreeze Panes, and that takes it off. Okay, let's see here. We added a worksheet and we renamed it. Okay, so page orientation, adjust page scaling, insert a header and footer, and change margins. So we're going to go page orientation. So to change that, here's a page layout and here's orientation. And you can see it's portrait by default. So when I go to File, Print, you can see it's portrait. Okay, I can come back here though, and I could go orientation landscape, file, print, and now you can see it's in landscape. Okay, I can also choose my print area. Like let's say for instance, I don't want the title, I don't want all of this printed. I just want, for whatever reason, this information right here to be printed. So I can select that and I can go to the page layout tab and I can do print area, set print area. And then I can go file, print, and it will only be that area that will print. Okay. While I'm here, I can also tell it to scale. A lot of times a spreadsheet column will be left on one page by itself, or rows will be left on pages by themselves, and this one's not because it's 1 of 1. But if that ever happens where the spreadsheet is 1 of 2 and you want it to be on 1, right here is scaling, and you can actually tell it to fit on 1 page. Okay, so it all fits on 1 page. Or you can tell it, fit all the columns on 1 page. So maybe there's like 500 rows, but you at least want to see all the columns on a page. You would do that. Then there's fit all the rows on 1 page. If it's a really long, going left and right, you could choose that. So that's how you can scale. There are other things that you can do when you are going to print, and that's, I'm going to click page setup here, and you can tell it, well, right here you can tell it the scaling to adjust it also to like 50% or fit 1 page by 1 page. But right here on the sheet tab, you can tell it to print the grid lines, and you can tell it to print the row and column headings. So if I click OK here in print preview, now you can see the row or the row numbers and the column letters, and then you can see the grid lines also, and it will print like that. Let's say we want to print the whole thing. So we want, for the print, I'm going to go to page layout, print area, and I'm going to clear the print area. So now when I go to print, it's going to print the whole thing. Okay. I can also put in headers and footers. So when I'm in page layout, let's see, I'm going to go view. Is that it? Or insert, probably. Insert, yep, header and footer. Okay, so now it changes the view that we're in, but that's okay. So in the header, maybe you want to type your name at the left, okay, and maybe in the middle, you want to have the file name. Well, you have all of these elements that you can put into the header and footer. So maybe we want file name. So you can put that there. And then maybe here you want the current date. You can put that there. And then maybe in the footer down here, click add footer in the center part. Maybe we want the page number. And then maybe a slash and then number of pages. Okay. And so now let's see what that looks like. File, print. And now you can see 1 page out of 1, file name and date. And then, if you really wanted to print, you could go ahead and click print, obviously. So we did page scaling, header margins. We didn't do that. So to change margins, that is page layout and margins. And you can use preset ones or you can customize the margins. You could change your top, bottom, and left and right margins right here. Let's see, what else do we need to do? Set print area, preview and print. We did that. Close a workbook. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this. Save it, yes. And then I'm going to open it again. So I'm going to go find Excel. And I'm going to choose to open that file again. And I'm going to make some changes to this. But I want to keep this file intact, okay? So I'm going to leave, practice one. I want this to stay like this, but I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to browse and find my folder for this class. And I'm going to change the name to Practice 2. Okay, so now Practice 1 is kept intact, and now with Practice 2, I can make changes to it and have it be its own file. Okay, I've renamed it that way. So maybe I want to use the thesaurus, okay, to find a better word for homework. Okay, to use the thesaurus, let's go to Review, and right here is the thesaurus button, and it's giving us different words for schoolwork. Okay, so maybe I'm going to change it to coursework instead. Okay. So I'm going to click on the down arrow by coursework, and I'm going to do insert. And so then it puts coursework in place of homework. Okay. And spell check, you guys know how to run spell check. Beginning, yes. Complete, you're good to go. Good deal. And let's make sure we've covered everything. Yep. Okay, so now you're ready to do lessons 1 through 6 in your book.